Hello and welcome to Backyard Maintenance. Today I'm going to walk you through the process of how I make this sign. Alright, first off let's talk about the product, the sign board I've got here. This is known as E-panel or Alumaboard. Basically what it is, it's a 6mm wide board. It's got thin aluminum on the outside and then it has a plastic core which gives it the strength. It's got a protective layer that peels off, and after you peel this protective layer off, what you're left with is a very white, glossy white paint. You can get these in different colors. At the time I chose white. Another thing to note is you're supposed to be a sign company in order to purchase these. If you know how to talk to people the right way, sometimes you can just get your way. So that's kind of what happened. But anyways, like I said, these are very hard to find. A 4x8 sheet goes for about $140 about 4 years ago. It was around 2019, 2020, somewhere around there. You may have to shop around, very kind of hard to find. So I hope that answers some questions. Let's get started. All right, so right here, obviously I'm just taking some measurements. We're gonna make a straight edge on this. I am gonna cut it with a skill saw. It's perfectly fine. You just have to make sure you leave the film on. Another thing, make sure you move your table out of the way because I've definitely cut through a table before. Another thing you can see right there that there is very, very, very small particles. Make sure you wear safety glasses. You will end up with something in your eye. This next part is just me explaining materials that you'll need. I'm going to save this for the end of the video. So the next step we have to do is we have to cover that Alumaboard or E-panel in a black background. And how we're going to accomplish this is we have to go into a program called Inkscapes. Inkscapes is a free downloadable program you can find off the internet. So here we are in Inkscapes. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna come over to the square icon right here. We're gonna select it. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold down the mouse and we're gonna open this up. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is go to the selector tool and make sure this is selected, okay? You'll know it's selected because you have all the arrows pointing in all different directions around it. From here, what we wanna do is we wanna resize the image. We're going to come up here where it says millimeters and we're going to click on this little button right here. You can't see this menu for whatever reason on my screen record, but you're going to come down about 4 rows and it will say IN for inches. Click on that. And what we want to do is we want to make this 18 inches high by 50 inches wide. So our height is going to be 18 inches. Change that to 18. And now our width, select it again. Our width is going to be 50. Change that to 50. Click out of the box. Okay. Now what I can do is I can drag this down. Okay. And if you got to zoom out, you can zoom out. So click the magnifying glass, hit the minus symbol a couple times. Select your selector tool, and we'll bring this back over here. And what I'll do next is we'll go to extensions. We're going to scroll down to where it says grade cut. We're going to click on that. We're going to click the part that says cut. It's now going to bring us into the program of Grade Cuts. In order to have the program Grade Cuts, you have to buy the vinyl cutter and the program. From here, you can see that our image is populated. Now we're going to click on the printer icon. Now it's going to bring us to this page right here. This is the pressure. For my machine, this is set at 80. I like to have it at 95. The next thing we're going to do is hit the Read Materials button. This is going to make sure we have enough vinyl to actually cut out our image. Then we're going to move over to Preview. We're going to click on Preview, and Preview is just going to show us where the design is going to land on the vinyl itself. Once we're satisfied with all that, we're going to go ahead and click the Output button. Once the Output button is pushed, it's going to start cutting immediately. All right, so we've made our cuts. Now we're going to start the weeding process. This is probably going to be the easiest one to weed. All right. This is all the stuff we're not going to use. So now what I'm going to do is just going to tape this part down to the table. You just want to get it as flat as possible. All right, the bigger and longer the piece of vinyl, the more of a pain in the ass it is with transfer paper, at least for me. I know there are professionals out there. I am not a professional. I just pretend to be one, but let's see how this goes. I'm going to try and get relatively straight on, and I just want to touch down just a little bit. So what I'm doing right here is just applying some transfer tape. I like to use smaller rolls like this and do it in 2 different sections because it just makes it a lot easier to apply to larger pieces of vinyl. Now we're going to kind of start in the middle. We're going to work our way out. Basically what we're trying to do is really adhere that transfer tape to that black vinyl. All right, we're going to touch down a little bit. Right where it touches down, I'm just going to try and start smoothing out. All right, same thing again. Start from the middle, kind of work your way out. All we're trying to do is get this transfer tape to adhere. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come along here and I'm going to cut the edges. All right, next what we're going to do is kind of the same thing. You're going to get your aluminum panel and we're going to put it down on the ground. So this has a protective layer, so we're going to peel that off. All right, now we have a perfectly smooth surface to work on. I'm going to bring my workpiece over. I'm going to lay it on top. And I gave myself a little extra room to work with. I'm going to make sure it's going to land on my piece. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a hinge. So I'm going to make my hinge. It's going to be right there. And you know, like I said, you really got to apply it or else it's not going to, the vinyl's not going to come off that backing. Now what I can do is I can take and I can fold this back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my transfer paper. See that? See now you have the vinyl that's attached to your transfer paper and you're peeling off the backing. Okay? Peel this back. I've gotten to my hinge. I'm just going to lay this down. And now I'm going to take my backing, I'm going to cut my backing off. I'm going to get fairly close. Okay. So here's my aluminum board, and I'm going to pick this side up, keep it up in the air, and now we're going to work our way down the middle. Right now, what I really want to make sure is that there's really good contact between that panel and the vinyl. And you really want to try, for the most part, work your way from the middle to the outside. We can now take these hinges off. We don't need these anymore. Take it all the way back, and now I can just peel that backing off like that. Pick this up. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a razor blade and I'm going to clean up all the edges, kind of ride that edge. All right, now I left a little piece down here, and that's just so I can get the transfer tape started to peel off. Okay, and you want to pull at a 45-degree angle, okay? And you want it to be flat. You don't want to be pulling up here like this because Then you're going to be pulling the vinyl off of the LumaBoard, and you're going to create bubbles that way. So you want to pull it very flat this way. Okay, so flat as possible. Try not to stop either. All right, this guy off right here. That's done. Okay, so now we're going to create a QR code. You are going to go to your website of choice. You're going to go to the top right corner and you're going to click on the 3 little white dots. From there, you're going to scroll down to where it says Save and Share. From there, you're going to scroll down to where it says Create QR Code and click on that. That is going to create a download for you to store on your computer as an image. From there, you're going to save it. And then what you're going to do is bring it into Inkscapes. So now that we're in Inkscapes, go to the File tab, click on File. We're going to scroll down to Import. All right, we're going to find our QR code. We're going to click on the file and we're going to open. Now that we have our QR code on Inkscapes, we're going to go up to Path. We're going to scroll down to where it says Trace Bitmaps. This is going to bring up a window. Now, you have several different options here. For this image, I want to use brightness cutoff. So we're going to make sure brightness cutoff is checked, and then we're going to select OK. This is going to create a second image. The image is on top of your existing QR code. So we're going to select it and we're going to move it off to the side. Now we can erase the first one. Now that the first image is erased, we can resize the second image. So what we're going to do is come up to this little arrow tool right up here. We're going to click that. We're going to come and do our QR code. We're going to select our QR code, and then we're going to come up here to where it has it says millimeter. We're going to change this to inches. So we're going to click this button, come down to the inches. You can't see that on this screen, but there is something that says inches. We are going to change the height. On this particular one, we're going to do 14.5 inches. So we're going to do 14.5. We'll click out of that. You can see it's kind of oblong now. We can bring this down a little bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change the width. We're also going to do 14.5. Click out of the box. Now it looks pretty big. What we're going to do is we're going to take the magnifying glass and we're just kind of zoom out a little bit. Take our selector tool again. Bring the image over here. Now what we have is an image that can be cut out by a vinyl printer. So we're going to do the same things we did before. We'll go to extensions. We're going to scroll down to where it says grade cut. We're going to click on that. We're going to click the part that says cut. It's now going to bring us into the program of grade cuts. Okay, so now that our image is populated into grade cuts, we're going to go up to this little button again. We're going to click on that. It's going to bring up the same window as before. It's going to be this window right here. We're going to go over the same steps as we did before, and we're going to proceed, and it's going to start to cut. Okay, so here we are in Inkscapes for the last time. We are going to create our lettering. So we are going to go over to this tool right here. It is the A tool here. We're going to click on that. We're going to do 3 separate rows so we can move our lettering around and we can get it centered, okay? So now we're going to type it out. We're going to click off the page, off the thing, just clear selector tool, okay. And we're going to do another row. So we're going to select this A again. Come out here. You can go anywhere on the page, it doesn't matter. We're going to spell out our second line. We're just going to click off. We can click down here. We're going to start our third row. Okay, now we're going to take our selector tool. Now we want to get the height adjusted, okay? We want to get it fairly close. So we're going to And we'll align everything afterwards, but we want to get it kind of to where we want it to be, right? Now, over here on the right is align and distribute, okay? Okay, so now you can space these, and how you can do that is you can take and come out here on the far left, click down on your mouse and select everything, right? Okay, so all that's selected, but it's all in different groups. Now these tools over here will let you space them out, okay? So we can come over to right here and we can click this, and basically, did you see that? The middle one moved. I'll do it again. All right, pay attention to the letters. I'm gonna click that button again, and that middle one's gonna move. It's gonna be adjusted. From here, we can center from left to right, so we can get it perfectly centered. You're gonna come up to this tool right here. We're gonna click that, and everything's centered up. I'm gonna go back once more. We're gonna click it once more, and you see how that all centers? Okay, now what we wanna do is we want to group all of that, okay? So we're gonna come out here, we're gonna select it all. We're gonna go to Objects up here on the top left. You can't see this on my screen record, but we're gonna come down. You're gonna, it's about the 6th row. It's gonna say Group. You're just gonna group it. Now all the letters are a group. Now we can move it around as a group. We can click off it, click on it again. Oh, you know what? I missed a letter there. That's all right. We'll fix that. And you know, we can move it around like that. So now that that's all set, we're just going to repeat the process of how to get into the gray cuts. You're going to go back up to the extensions, and then you're going to go down to where it says Gray Cut 4, and then Cut. From there, it's going to bring you into Gray Cuts again, and you've already seen that a bunch of times. We don't need to repeat that. So we're just going to get into the rest of the video. Okay, so now we're going to put our image on our board, and we're going to square it up. We're going to make a hinge, and this is so you don't lose your spot. And what we're going to do is we're going to take some measurements and make sure everything's square. I've confirmed everything is square. Now I'm going to add a little bit of extra tape here just because I don't want that hinge to come apart and lose my spot. Because what we're going to have to do next is start to peel the backing off of the vinyl. So we're going to lift up here. I'm going to start to slowly pull away the backing from the vinyl. And you want to do this really slow because you're going to see right here that a little green dot has stuck to the backing. So what I'm going to do is push it down. I'm going to try and rub it with my fingers first, see if that works, which it doesn't. So now I'm going to take the squeegee. I'm going to rub it a little bit harder. Just to kind of really adhere it to that transfer tape. And we're going to slowly pull away again. And now you'll see that it's on the transfer tape and not on the backing. So now that I'm peeling away, you're going to see that it's sticking to the transfer tape and not the backing. I'm going to keep repeating this process. Ultimately, what I should have done was I should have hinged it on the board itself on the right. You notice right here that I don't have enough table to press up against. So what I had to do is I had to start taking the tweezers and start kind of removing it from the backing and placing it on the transfer tape just so I didn't lose my spot, because one of those dots is out of place and you're all done. So we finally get it done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up, make sure to kind of keep this taut, and we're just going to slowly press it onto the board. And like again, we don't want to be pulling upwards. We want to be pulling flat like this. See, like this? All right, now let's check it out. Let me get my phone. All right, here we go. I'm gonna pop up the camera, hover over, and there we go. All right, so next we're going to move on to the lettering. This should be way easier because we don't have all these stupid little dots to contend with. So same thing applies. We want to be square. We want to be kind of even. So I kind of want to split the difference between, you know, the end of that and the end of this. From these dots to this W, I got roughly 3 inches. And I got 2.5 over here. You could move it that way a little bit. I got about 2 3/4, about 2 and almost 3/4. Very close. The next thing I want to do, the up and down. And we're going to take that measurement on 2 sides because you can't just measure the middle and call it a day because it might be crooked. Okay, but I'm going to just kind of start my rough estimates here. All right, I got 2 3/8, 2 3/8. All right, cool. So let's make sure it is on this end too. 2 3/8, 2 3/8. So right there, we're good that way. All right, so I'm good with that. Let's make our hinge. Now on this, you can make your hinge at the top, but I am probably gonna make it over here, okay? And then I'm gonna work my way that way because it's a lot less material to try. Like this is gonna be a lot of material. You're gonna wanna go this way. All right, like I said, I'm gonna make my hinge down here. All right, so there's our hinge. We're going to bring this back. And now we're going to take off the backing. I got this up in the air. We're going to start in the middle. And another reason why I left a lot of room over here and a lot of room at the end is I'm going to bolt this to my trailer in the corner. So I'm going to end up, you know, drilling a hole over here and putting a bolt in. And I want it a little bit away from the QR code and stuff like that. Start peeling this sideways here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there we go. And that is how you make a sign from beginning to end. All right, the next thing we're gonna talk about is just we're gonna go over some of the products, some of the tools that you're gonna need. Just kind of a basic rundown, not anything too special. You're gonna need some vinyl. There's plenty of places online to get it. This one's StarCraft and this one's Oracle. But you're gonna need vinyl. You're gonna need transfer tape. Basically, it's what's gonna go over top of the vinyl that you're gonna peel off. There's a backing to the vinyl. Okay, and there's a sticky side underneath the black part is the sticky side in between the backing. So the transfer tape goes on and then you can peel it off and then you can lay it down on your surface and that brings you to the squeegee. You're going to want a squeegee to, you know, get out all the air bubbles. Another thing you're going to need is tweezers. That's what's going to help you. Depending on the design, you have, if it's intricate or if it's, you know, a couple cuts, you have to weed it out first. The machine will make the cuts on the vinyl and then you're going to have to take away all the stuff that's not supposed to be there. Weeding can be very easy or weeding can be your worst nightmare. It really depends on the design. And then I like to use some masking tapes when I put my design, when I put the vinyl down after I've weeded it, when I run it over the transfer paper, I find it very easy if I take my design and kind of tape it down to the table first. Another thing you might want is razor blade. That's kind of a basic rundown of everything. All right, guys, well, that's it. If you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment down below. And if you like this video, check out these videos. That one's kind of cool. I like that one. That one's cool too. That one's my favorite.